Hello, friends. You tuned into episode 50 of Mind Over Music. I'm your host, Sean Ali Moladina. Today, we have such an incredible guest tonight. One of my favorite people on earth. She is hilarious. She's doing so much for the world. I'm a big admirer of Judy Carter. She is a speaker, a motivational speaker. She's a comic. She has a book out that she wrote a little while ago, back in 2001, called The Comedy Bible. And she's just doing some incredible work. And she's the founder of The Message of You. Judy, thank you so much for being on the show tonight.
Favorite person in the world.
One of them.
Live up to.
I
like
love
I'm
it.
the second coming or something. It's just going to be disappointing from this point on. Thank you.
Probably not. No, just be you, and that's kind of what you teach us, right? I'm one of Judy's students in The Message of You. Currently, she's offering her course for free, and we'll go into that a little bit more. But today's episode and this week has really been all about on purpose and fulfillment. And the idea is not to simply just do what makes you happy, but do what makes you feel fulfilled. Do something that creates a sense of direction and a sense of purpose for yourself. And I think the Message of You is also, kind of an avenue that leads directly into that modality as well. So, Judy, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Message of You, and we'll get into it.
Well, I believe that all the people listening today to us have an essential life message, a purpose that they were born to do. And most people are oblivious to that. It's like they're inside of the jar and they can't see the ingredients that's on the jar, because they're inside of it.
Right.
We can't see it. We can't see it, but we do know when we don't feel right in our life, when things don't feel good. And it's because we are not living our purpose in life. And what I do is I teach people how to find their essential life message and turn it into a motivational speech, because really our purpose in life is expressed through the gifts that we give others. So people's lives are transformed when they realize that they have something really important to communicate to other people. And I've just seen it firsthand. Amazing things happen.
Yeah, you're really a transformationalist is kind of what I would say. You're almost a treasure hunter, the way I see the work that you do, because you kind of go in and you.
I love that.
Yeah, you
I'm
sieve through all the
hunt.
Exactly. You just sieve through all of the mess and you say, "Where's the gold here?" And you're like, "Hey, do you not see this gold nugget that you've been holding on to your whole entire life?" I realized this when I watched the session called "Your Mess is Your Message." So, Judy, why don't you explain what that means and how we can kind of start thinking about, our mess being our message and kind of being empowered by our experiences.
Well, I find that here's the thing, your story, okay, people think their story when they go, "Oh, tell me about yourself." And they'll usually talk about the accolades after their name or all the success that they've done, and that, well, I'm a COO of IBM, and, and the reason you're not a BFD because you're, because you're working as a COO, that's not it. See, your success and your story, and every single person listening needs to know your story. Your story isn't where you ended. Your story is your journey from the mess that you were in, and that mess created that success. For example, growing up, I had a terrible speech impediment. I had a stutter. I couldn't pronounce words. I had an auditory problem. But whatever it was, I was made fun of and I was laughed at, and I was actually considered stupid. And look at me now. I'm a person that gets paid to speak.
Right.
And I long ago have forgotten about that because we don't like to remember those times in our life. But I then wrote a story about it. I said, wow, isn't this weird? You know, I'm a speaker, and my biggest problem growing up was speaking. And then I found out that when I was recording my book, The Message of You for Audible, I started getting so nervous. I started stumbling over words, and then I started to get so upset, and then I couldn't say the words. I started to cry, and then I talked to the director, and he said, well, there's somebody else here who couldn't talk, and he's a celebrity. He was supposed to record his book in 2 weeks. It took over a month because he stuttered. And I said, who was it? He goes, James Earl Jones. I went, what are you
Wow.
talking about? Luke's father? Darth Vader?
The one who's known by his voice and his voice only in almost every.
Yeah, he makes a living from it. He makes millions of dollars because he's the voice of CNN. This is CNN. Oh, that's a terrible Darth Vader. But anyway, his voice is it.
Yeah. Yes.
He did not speak until he was 8 years old.
Wow.
And when he travels with speech coaches. So his mess became his success. Well, I started to investigate this more and more with my students. And I started to discover that, people who had jobs that they dismissed, that they, I hate my job. I'm a clerk for a bankruptcy court, and I just have to, file these things. And I hate my job. And I go, well, tell me about your life. Did you have a lot of chaos in it? And she goes, oh yeah, my mother was a hoarder. Everything was a mess. Well, of course you have a job to put everything in order, and help people who screwed up and now they're bankrupt. So I started to discover this. So then I started to talk to people who were really having trouble. Like I realized that I am successful in my life. My life is not that I'm successful now, that I've had a career as a successful comic or a successful speaker. It's my journey. It's my journey. And everybody needs to know their story. So when you're at a party and they go, oh, well, I'm a paid professional speaker. No, I'm a former stutterer who had to work so hard to overcome that to become a paid speaker who speaks for a living. Now that creates a whole different story. Now you become a beacon of inspiration because even if you're just at a party, well, what do you do for a living? So we need to start looking at the story of our life and and use it to inspire people. And some people end up making a career because they realize what they've come from, what they've had to. Most people don't, most people don't do an investigation of their life. They lead a rather unexamined life. And once you examine your life, it's shocking, because who wants to remember the painful part? But the painful part we should kiss, because that's what led us to finding our life purpose. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think when we look at our careers, and just to give you a little bit of background in the South Asian community, right? A lot of our listeners are from there. And that's a lot of where our broadcasting also exists. But it is global. And one thing that we all look at is, being first generation immigrants, essentially, right? A lot of us families came over in the late 70s, early 80s, through the 90s and then 2000s. And, we look at agency, and we look at how we can get out of, this kind of vortex of, America just sucking in certain people, and then having class problems and things of that sort. And I think one thing that the South Asian community did was they looked at the highest paying jobs and they said, okay, go and get educated as you possibly can, and become doctors, engineers, lawyers. Don't talk to me about anything else. And today we have amazing people who have graduated from the top colleges, right? Even the person that I got your name from. How I learned from you was a stand-up comic. Her name is Shireen Qasim. She is one of your students. And
Oh,
do you know her? Do you know Shireen?
sure. Well, yeah, I remember her name because that was actually my mantra when I did TM meditation.
Oh,
So
did you?
every time
Shirim,
I said her
Shirim.
name, I kind of fell asleep. So
That's so funny.
that
Yeah,
was
you
kind of
just
weird.
dropped
But
right in.
that's
You
why
know,
I remember
it's so
her.
funny because I did TM as well, and it's just like a lead balloon. And if anyone hasn't done TM yet, go try out TM. It's amazing. So they give you Shirim. So that's really funny. And you know, you look at so Shireen is a stand-up comic. She's also worked for Disney and was a head product manager for Disney Plus. Graduated from Wharton, right? And the story goes very similar to great education, great background, great paying job, not feeling fulfillment right on the other end, right? Because one is just doing your job and having a title like a CEO, COO, whatever X you want to fill in, and you forget that you have a life to live outside of that. You have purpose outside of that, and just because you have a corporate 9 to 5 job doesn't mean it's going to fulfill every single part of you. And that leads to like downstream mental health issues. It leads to the way that you are as a member of your family, whether you're a mother or father, um, a brother, sister, whatever it might be. And it just has these downstream impacts. And so we're trying to unpack that now, especially through this show, is the crossroads between having a good, stable paying job and becoming a citizen of this country that has agency. And then on the other end, finding fulfillment, finding purpose, and kind of marrying these two stories together. So Judy, this is almost like an hour of Aunt Judy time where we're just kind of like sitting around the campfire and you're just telling us stories about your life. But how did you do it? How did you, where was that moment for you where you said, holy moly, I can't just go back and go to regular work. I've got to do this stuff that makes me fulfilled, and I've got to find a way of making money out of doing it because I'm not gonna be happy otherwise, right?
It's funny you say that because I work with a lot of people. Right now, I'm doing this thing where I want people to find their message and turn it into a pitch. So it's like an elevator pitch. I'm sure you've heard of that.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, what's your book about? What's your speech about? What is it about? And then you have this very concise pitch and what you're going to do, and it includes your credentials. So I find it interesting that when I give people a form to fill out, and most people don't put their job because they hate their job.
Right.
But the secret to their message is in their boring job. And that's the weird part about it.
It's
So,
almost like you express your mess through your job, one way or the other.
well, it's not just your mess, it's on some level, no matter what you do. Um, like, for instance, I was talking to a woman and she goes, well, I really want to talk about, I want to become a speaker and talk about living your dreams and a lot of other things that you can find on bumper stickers of many cars, which I
Right.
find kind of pedestrian. So,
Coexist.
it's just like, oh, live your dreams. It's so, and I'm in California, and even I think that's kind of woo-woo. So I go, well, what do you do? Oh, I'm an accountant. And I go, well, do you speak as, yeah, I kind of speak, but it's separate from me. And I want to do this to inspire people. And I go, well, then I found out and I started talking to her about why she became an accountant. And what I discovered was that when she was 8, her father died, and her mother had no idea to handle, she didn't know passwords, the bank accounts, and they became homeless. So this is a moment that usually happens in people's childhood. Now, all of us have had this. We have a moment in our childhood where something horrible happens, and we say to ourselves, I never want this to happen again. I do
Absolutely.
not want this to happen again. So
Yes.
she was saying, I don't want to be poor. right?
Right.
I need to know how to keep track of money. And that's what I'm going to do for other people, because it's as if other people are a mother. So in reality, she's trying to heal her mother, even though she's long gone, through all these clients. But once I identified that story, and then she started to talk, to get clients. But she came at it, her boring job, from knowing what we've all heard a lot of people talk about, your why. What is your why,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
And this became her why, that she is so committed that nobody actually, and she tells that personal story. People would cry in the audience. She goes, I never want that to happen to any of you. And, I asked her, are you speaking anymore? She goes, no. I go, why? Because every time I speak, I get so many clients because they're so moved, and I have a new relationship with what I do. It's bigger than what it appears to be. I've had people who've been a greeter at Banana Republic. It's a store, clothes store. Her big job was going, welcome to Banana Republic. And she goes, I don't want to talk about that. And I go, well, you're the first person customers see, right? You're maker of first impressions, aren't you? And you observe where they go, what they do. Why don't you go talk on customer service to the company you work for? Just ask if you could go talk. So she did 10 minutes of me, but she's really funny. We wrote some jokes. And then they asked her to speak their national meeting. Now she goes all over the world as an expert in customer service. So you're limiting yourself when you say the job that I have as a greeter of Banana Republic, well, that's not what I really want to do. Why not? Why resist and mark this thing that you do all day long as boring? Because if you investigate it, I guarantee you will find that it's no accident that you're somebody who keeps order and organizes stuff, or you're somebody who helps people with finance, or you're somebody who was affected by an injustice as a child and you didn't want somebody else to suffer that, and that's why you became that lawyer. And we all kind of say, well, I want to please my parents, I want to do this, I want to make money. No, you are not examining your life. And if you examine your life, you're going to find that your purpose for living is in your boring job. And so I always start when finding someone's purpose with the very thing they don't want to talk about. I was just talking to a woman, she wanted to talk about her recovery from cancer. And I go, yeah, you and a billion other people have recovered from cancer.
Right.
What do you do for a living? Oh, I hate my job, I'm a fundraiser. Well, guess what? Nobody knows how to ask for money. If you speak about that, you're going to make at least $15,000 a speech, because you're telling people how they can ask for money.
And you can ask for money. You have your own agency to be able to ask for money yourself.
I know. And so it's like, exactly. So stop clicheing your job as, oh, I just fell into it. That is BS, because you didn't just fall into it. It's part of the message of who you are. So stop resisting it and look at it just like a little differently.
I agree. So,
oh
so
my
Judy,
God.
we're
Do you know
gonna.
who keeps calling me right now? I keep looking at my phone. Support Donald Trump.
Oh
What
my
the
goodness!
heck are they call
I
me
can't wait.
every day.
I
And
can't wait to get into this. This is gonna
oh
be so.
my God, we support.
So
Make,
Judy, we're going to take a quick break. We have to take
oh
a quick
my
commercial break,
God.
but we're going to be right back with Judy Carter. Judy, you can go ahead and answer that phone if you'd like. But this is a song on Mind Over Music. What we do is we relate the songs that we listen to the topic at hand. And this is a song that especially reminded me of you. And it's Eye of the Tiger from Top Gun. And I hope everybody kind of examines their life, thinks about it throughout the break. We'll be back in just a few moments. Amazing. All right, we are back with episode 50. We made it to episode 50. This is great.
Whoa, cool.
I'm your host, Shanali Molodina. I have such an incredible guest today, one of my favorites, Judy Carter. She is the author of the Comedy Bible. She is the founder of The Message of You, TMOY, and she's offering a free course right now. So go out and check it out. She is probably the most invigorated and happiest when her students get a speaking gig. You know, it's about
Oh
making other
yeah.
people money. That's all it's about. And so it's like, you know, one thing is like unpacking and examining your life, you know, and kind of introspecting a little bit more, to be proud of your journey, to be proud of your story. You know, both Judy and I have had troubles in our childhood. Everyone has. But how do you create strength around that? And how do you create really good perspective? And how do you make money doing it? Right? I think that's the most
Oh
important.
my God, I love that. That's my favorite thing because I've been helping people. Like I say, hey, don't write your speech. Just write your 90-second pitch.
Right.
So, right. And so then you have this big problem. This woman called me. I wrote her pitch. I've been helping people write pitches because I could do it really quickly for them. And, and then she called me, said, oh my God, what am I going to do? They want me to speak next
Right.
month. And they
Yeah.
want to give me 6,000, and it's
Right.
just online. 6,000. What do I do? I'm
$6,000.
freaking out. I'm going, oh, calm down, girl. This is a good problem. I mean, they pay speakers so much. I mean, much more than, because I was a stand-up comic for many years, and it's
Mhm.
always like, what, give me
I
this,
mean, you're
give me
doing
that.
sets. You're practicing sets. You're going all around the
But
clock.
when
You
you
know,
speak,
when you speak,
they
it's
pay
different.
you so much more.
And these, you know, some of these tricks and tips are just phenomenal, right? It's you know, starting with the when you talk to somebody, you say, you know, when you know how you
Oh
start with.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You start with people's problems because a lot of people go. I'll say, what's your book about? And go, well, when I was a kid and this happened, this happened. They start talking about themselves, and it's just like, oh
Wrong
God, you're
direction.
going to sell 3 copies of this book,
Exactly, exactly. You're not relatable. You're
right?
not
And they won't
relatable.
even read it. Even your mother's not going to read your book. It's just like an exercise in narcissism. So you
Right.
really got to start your pitch with, what is the problem that people have that your product or service is going to
Solve.
solve?
Yeah.
And that's what makes you worthwhile. That's
Yeah.
what gives you, not worthwhile, but gives you value.
Right.
Financial, people pay for it.
Start with the problem proposition. When you think about your life, when you unpack your life and you think about the issues that you've had and how you overcame them, it's about how you're helping other corporations, people who have the money, overcome those same exact problems at scale.
Yep,
That's it. That's
that's
amazing.
it. Yeah, I was speaking at a oh, this is bad. I was speaking on lightening up and laughing your way
I
out of
want to
the
hear all
joke.
these. I want to hear all these like little stories of like,
All right, this was
yeah.
horrible because I'm
Okay.
speaking at VA hospital. That's Veterans
Right.
Hospital,
Right.
people who've been in the military. And I thought, okay, I'm going to speak on lighten up and just here's how you write a joke. And I go there and it's these young men who are like just recently paralyzed
Yeah. Amputated.
from
Yeah.
Afghanistan and
They're not doing well.
amputees. And I'm going, oh my God, I'm going to bomb.
Let's stand up and it's like a stand up song where everybody gets up together and have them
Oh man, it was bad. It was so
and salute to the
depressing.
service. Yeah, yeah.
People were just staring vacantly at the floor, and those were the nurses. And then there were the patients. They were just like, it was bad. So I'm going like, what am I going to do? I think I should leave. It's not going to work. And then to add insult to injury, a man comes up and he goes, see that young man at the on the ventilator? That's my son. He was injured by a bomb exploded. He can't walk, can't move his hands. And they say unless he does his therapy, he's going to die. And he refused to do his therapy. So I hope you're inspiring. I'm going like, oh my.
Yeah. I hope you got something
So
good.
yeah. So anyway, I just ended up realizing, and this is the way we always connect with people, by talking about our own mess. And my sister I realized, I never spoke about her on stage before, but I got up and it just came to me. And I talked about my sister had cerebral palsy I grew up with, and how she formed such a great life, and how she had purpose in her life, and how people loved her. And I saw Nick, this guy's name was Nick, light up. And so then I went to see him 6 weeks later. He's doing his therapy, and I get, what happened? He said, well, you made me feel I have a purpose. He goes, what's your purpose? He goes, before this accident, I was just getting drunk. I was screwing around. But now I believe I have a purpose in life, and I want to speak to other soldiers who are wounded. And do you know what I'm speaking on? I got the title, Never Give Up. because there
Wow.
was a doctor in Afghanistan who, when I was injured, said, I'll never walk. I'll never move my hands. And look at me, Judy. And then he raises his hand and he kind of like shows me slowly how he can raise his middle finger. And he says, look, Judy, I can almost give that doctor the finger. Right? And now this kid who's paralyzed from the neck down speaks to the army, makes a living. He's inspiring people, and he's happier than he's ever been because he's found his purpose in life. And sometimes it takes that kind of what we can call a tragedy to turn our lives around.
Yeah.
And hopefully it doesn't, that kind of tragedy.
Well, we also had, last night I hosted 2 shows. In the second show, we talked about depression and suicide. And, a lot of times when we don't see the end of the cycle that we're constantly in, and right now it's a really bad cycle. 2020 has just been really challenging with COVID, with 41 million people out of jobs. You kind of run out of things to do. Your mind starts going stir crazy. This is one of the reasons why you pretty much took the regulator off, and you offered the Message of You for free. So if you go to themessageofyou.com, sign up for those classes. They're all free. Learn your message, get through the mess of your life, and really figure out how you can start making some good money from speaking engagements. Hire Judy to help consult you and get moving, because it's time, right? A lot of people are just sitting on the sidelines and they don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. But they do have a story and they do have a message to give out. And I think when we get in these moments of depression, it was really funny because we have 3 RJs. You met one of them, Anil Sohani, and we have one more guy, his name is Nazish. And all 3 of us were like, hey, have you guys ever felt depressed or suicidal or anything? All 3 of us at one point of our lives felt so depressed we thought we could take our own lives at some point. And you think about that and you're like, man, that time strengthened me so much more because I got through it. But I learned so much more from those dark times. You don't learn anything from the happiest moments of your life. It's because
They are fun, though.
they're fun. They're great, man. I mean, yeah, I was doing cartwheels.
Another glass of champagne, please.
Exactly. And I don't, yeah, and you forget those nights too because you have too much fun. And so, but you kind of circle back through and you're like, man, like if I get through this, if that guy with cerebral palsy gets through it, he's going to be the most inspirational guy in the world. If you get through your mess that you're going through right now, you'll be the most inspirational person in the world that you know, or at least in your
Yeah. I was just today, I was coaching a woman who lost her entire career to depression and mental illness. She had a complete and utter breakdown.
Yeah.
And she's been through so many psych programs and therapy. And I just wrote her pitch for her today. I was so proud of her. Her name is Angela Penny.
Yeah.
And she's taken everything she's learned from all of her therapy and her downtimes to share with others to prevent. And I have it like on my computer because I would love to read just the beginning of it, because it shows you that you start your pitches with the bad news. Right. And so we started off with, according to National Association of Mental Illness, over 43 million American adults experience mood disorder that interrupts their life. They are not just the homeless, but include doctors, salespeople, and other high-functioning people. Now, notice the word, she hasn't used the word I yet. Like a lot of people go, let me tell you about me. No. The rate of mental illness and depression has increased during COVID-19. She'll insert some stats there. Restarting jobs might help the economy, but it won't solve the feelings of isolation, anxiety, and depression. Matter of fact, the stress of work can actually exacerbate these feelings as we tried to put on a fake smile, trying to pretend to be normal. Meanwhile, we are drowning. So that's how you always start off a pitch, by what's the bad news that you're gonna, and then she goes, I'm Angela Penny, and I had a successful career until it was derailed by a mental breakdown, and I was unable to work, and I spent 15 years to recover. And in my 16-minute keynote entitled Free Your Mind Power, I show people who suffer with mental illness or depression, or love someone who suffers, or just want to know how to turn a bad day around, how they can. And then she lists what she's going to teach them, but it's what she learned from experience. Self-coaching, using words, discover ways of flipping, thoughts from negative to positive using awareness exercises, stop self-sabotage using visualization, transform self-hate and shame, blah, 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 blah. And then she ends it, as a survivor, I've done extensive work on myself because I decided that I wasn't put on this earth to be miserable. Sharing these healing techniques will not only save lives, but I'll show you how not only survive, but to thrive.
Wow.
Now, I write pitches for people. It takes me 30 minutes. I wrote this for her. Now, this is my purpose in life, helping others. Now, she's going to go out there and do it, and it's going to save lives. So I'm going to say, hey, I'm sitting here writing pitches for people, but it's going to friggin' save lives.
It's like the best pyramid scheme I've ever heard. This is the most. It's like the thing that works. You're like the if Bernie Madoff was an angel, that was what it would actually.
Kind of like Amway, but we're going to save lives. But this is what happened. So this is obviously someone who's really suffered in life.
Yeah.
But is it maybe? Here's what it is. It becomes worth it when you do something with it. Do something with it. And you know what? She's not going to go out right now and make $15,000 a speech.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's low end for speakers in the US at least. But she's going to start doing these free webinars. She's going to collect people. Maybe she ends up writing a book about it. Oh my God, there's no end to this. If you can, do a little bit of self-discovery about yourself instead of friggin' complaining all the time and whining. I mean, it's the same thing with comedy. Comedy, as Seinfeld says, it's complaining, but funny.
Yeah.
You do something with it. You
Headphones.
work on it.
What's going on with these headphones? They're on your headphones. I can't call anybody. What's going on? Yeah. No,
Why is friggin' Donald Trump calling me, wanting me to contribute to his
Judy,
campaign?
I need fantastic money. I need you to give me agency. I need you to write this speech for me. It's an elevator speech. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be huge.
Oh my God. It shows you how screwed up our country is, that they think I am going to support him. That shows you how screwed up I just got a call from, I help people all over the world. So I call from New Zealand, and she goes and she's a doctor, and she was talking about, I don't know forgot what she's speaking on, but she goes, what happened to America? We doctors used to look to you for advice on what to do with infectious diseases. I said, well, they got rid of all this scientists.
You got all this.
Fire anybody.
Everyone else has it figured out. Everyone figured it out except you guys. Like, what is happening?
No, he fired everyone who is smarter than him, which meant he hired like some doodle dog breeder to run his agent. It's ridiculous.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think Fauci's that much better, to be honest. But
what?
I don't think Fauci's that much better either. I mean, like, you should hear some of the early stuff that he said about infectious diseases. So it's really funny because I'm in infectious diseases. I'm in healthcare diagnostics. This is kind of what I do.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. This is all I do. And so yeah, it's funny. I could actually go through.
Wait, what kind of healthcare diagnostics? Diagnostics.
Yeah, infectious diseases. Yeah. So it's all about for me, it's all about predictive medicine, preventative medicine, precision medicine, right? Because same story, right? When I was 7 years old, my father passed away. He died of a heart attack. Nobody told me that my dad died, right? And
they just kept making excuses. Yeah, he's late for dinner.
He went out for cigarettes. I don't know what happened, right? So, all right, man.
What?
So we get. So can I? I'm gonna go through the story for 2 minutes real quick with you. So.
No, yeah.
We can work through it. So hey, this is a live Judy Carter class. Here we go. We just turned it into a live Judy Carter class. So I'm 7 years old, and we go over to this to the funeral home, and my aunts and uncles are like, hey, go get your suit on. We're going to your dad's funeral. I didn't know what a funeral was. So we get into the funeral, and the Muslim ceremony is you give your last final rites, and then you bring the body to the main room. I wasn't there to give the last final rites. So I think that he used to be a missionary. He used to give speeches about the messages of Islam and all of these things, right? Very motivational, very inspiring about Muhammad's life and all that stuff. And then I think that this is his last theatrical performance that he's about to give, right? and all these people are coming to see him and all this stuff. And everyone was sad because he's giving this last performance. They bring his body, and I'm like, okay, he's about to stand up and just like deliver this thing like the best message of his life. I didn't know he was dead until I see all my family crying, and then boom, like in one moment, my entire life just like passes right in front of me, right? And I'm like, dude, I can't believe that nobody told me. And that was the message. The message was, I will never be surprised by anything ever again. So I'm constantly looking down the road and predicting things that are going to happen before they happen. And that's what I
Wow.
do
So,
with
so,
healthcare.
so what a great example of you transforming one of the most painful experience of your life into something that's going to prevent it from happening to others. And that's so smart of you to recognize that, because
It's your courses.
it gives you purpose in life. It gives you purpose. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, because I know we're coming to the end, I want to make sure I say this, that, you know, here in America, we are going through so much division, black against white, Muslim against whatever. It's just so much conflict right now. And that's why, you know, I'm on a mission to help everybody find their message, because I think we can all start building bridges rather than walls with people. You didn't just die, did you? Oh, I thought you just left. Oh my God, I was in the middle of the radio.
No. The guy is literally like, I don't know if you hear the vacuum in the background. The guy is vacuuming in the other room.
Oh, and you're doing a radio show. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm doing a radio show. Like, what are you doing?
No, well, I was just saying, it's so important right now that we all, you know, work to become, you know, to build bridges between people rather than walls. It's just so important. And I know there's so much, and now in India there's conflict, and we're all worried about that, in North Korea, and Black Lives Matter. We're killing Black people. The world couldn't be more horrible, but I think step by step, if we all become part of the solution, I don't know, does that sound too California woo-woo?
I mean, obviously it's in a bubble, but it's something that needs to happen, right? I mean, yesterday, we did so much yesterday. Oh my gosh, like you should listen to the show. But yesterday we also had an actress, a Hollywood actress. She's a South Asian Hollywood actress. Her name is Kasser Mohammed. She talked about defunding the police and what that really means, and how we create a safer civil society for everybody. Because currently, you know, with LA, for example, you're out in LA, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Los Angeles's police budget is over $3 billion a year, with a B, $3 billion. That would solve, if you can reallocate those funds, because right now, police officers are having to deal with everything from mental health issues to, you know, drug overdose issues, things that social workers need to be called for. Is being kind of like moved over into cops, right? When you call 911 and your house is on fire, well, the police officers can't do that, right? They have to go to a fire department. So in the same light, we need to be able to, you know, disseminate these resources properly. We don't need a militarized police, you know, force across the United States that have like grenade launchers. So these people have grenade launchers. Why do we need a grenade launcher? Like,
and most of them never even went to college.
Right.
They got in right out of high school. It's just
15 months. It takes 15 months to wield a gun, and only 7% of all police officers that are complained on actually get convicted of anything. So you pretty much have immunity because of the relationship that cops have to the DA, and so they put more people in jail. And so we have this incarceration problem, and it just kind of perpetuates on itself. But the idea behind Black Lives Matter is, if one of us aren't truly free, then none of us are free. This is a huge democracy issue. And I think that we need to be on the right side of history as we move forward in understanding what's happening with our country. I mean, you know, Judy, can you talk to us a little bit, you know, before we go? We have about 7 minutes if you have that time. But, you know, tell us a little bit about like what the country was, right? In your perspective, the opportunities that you saw, you know, even when we look at the Message of You, right? When you go to themessageofyou.com, sign up for the class and get on with Judy, because she will help you figure out what this mess means in your life.
Yes, and well, that's what I feel I can do, and that's why I'm giving it away for free. I mean, that's my own little thing. to do. I also record the Power of Purpose podcast. You can just look up my name on, Apple Podcast. And I was kind of crying when I came on this podcast because I just did our last podcast coming out this Friday on Black female comedians and their experience. And one of them at the end just looked right at me and said, just stop killing us.
Right.
Stop killing us. And I just stopped and sobbed. And what I've done in my own life is I feel I have privilege because I am white. And I mentored a young Black African-American woman. And I was her first white person that she knew. And to this day, 20 years later, she's my daughter, and we're close. And so this hits me a lot, very personally, really, to talk to her about how she can't call the police, how she's scared to call the police. And that just, I actually get vomit in my mouth when I think about racism and think about that. I don't truly understand it, but I think this new generation coming up in America is going to make a difference. They are intermarrying. Her friends are Ethiopian, married to a guy from Argentina. Their babies are all mixed. And I just think that's just get, we just have to start having more. I don't know if that's the solution, but
well, I mean,
I do know they're more woke. They're more woke.
Yeah, I think it's just as simple as seeing humans as humans. And right now we are seeing certain humans not as humans, right? And we are only 1 degree away from that happening to us. It could happen to women. It could happen to white people. It could happen to brown people. When there's not solidarity around this, we end up being on the wrong side of history. And so it's really important for us to look at these issues, understand our agency, right? We might not have the same privilege as white people, right? All of us, but we do have our vote and we do have our money. And so where we spend our money and how we vote is extremely important.
Some people are doing amazing things. Van Jones is doing creative virtual reality. I'm very into tech. I love all that stuff. And he created virtual reality where you put on your, Oculus or whatever it is, and you look at your hands and that you are a young Black boy and you're sitting in a car and your Black father is talking to you. And then a white policeman stops you. And he did this at a conservative convention, and where he gave people the experience of what it feels like to feel that kind of fear. And I think that's the only solution we all have, is that if you can take a story and tell a story in such a way that it creates empathy, that can really change, because that's what's lacking now. Empathy and seeing it through another person's eyes.
Yeah. I mean, imagine being in that situation. You have absolutely no control. No control. Your dad gets pulled out of the car. He gets tased. He might get shot. And you can't do anything. And the only difference is you have Black skin. That's the only difference. Not the content of your character, not what you say, not how you treat them. It's just because you're Black. And that's where we're living right now. And we have to do something about it.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, yes, let's get happy again.
This was so funny. It's a tough time. In the U.S., comedy clubs are still closed. So
yeah, what's everybody doing? How's everybody because a lot of your clients are comedians, and
I have some gigs coming up in October. I just signed contracts. I'm very nervous about it. I haven't
You're actually going to the club, or are you doing?
No, yeah, I actually have to get on a plane and go, but it's not till October, so I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, it's definitely not getting better. We told Shireen's going to come back for a second show. So what we do is we kind of do these series, and so we're following Shireen on her journey as well, because she has a one person play, and so I said, why don't you just decentralize it and then get on Zoom meetings, have like paid tickets into Zoom, and then you can test your material out in a virtual room. was like,
Oh
okay.
yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've
Oh,
been
really?
doing that, testing stuff out, and I like to leave the mics open to hear people laugh
Yeah.
and do that, unless they have a baby or something. But
Or a
I know
vacuum.
it's going to be
Or a vacuum
crazy.
in the other room.
There are comedy clubs open in Florida and Arizona, and I guess that's the only experience where the comic doesn't kill, but the audience kills the comic. So we'll see. Bada boom, bada bing.
Bada
We should end it
bing.
on that.
And
That's a
with
laugh.
that, we
And with that,
salute to you, Judy Carter. You're one of the greatest to do it. We love you. Themessageofyou.com. Sign up for the free class. Get your message right, and then start getting paid for some speaking gigs. I know I'm going to be doing it. There's too much opportunity, especially in America, where your
yeah.
story matters. And so there's too many people out there trying to figure out, how do I motivate my people? How do I organize my people? And Judy Carter will help.
And in West Asia, there are a lot of speaker organizations. I know, and they do use a lot of speakers, so it's something to look into.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Judy Carter, we love you so much, and we hope that you
Take
can come
care.
back for a second episode.
Awesome.
All right.
Take
We'll
care.
talk to you. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we will be right back with some music. It's going to be fun. Here we go.
Cool. Take care.
You killed. That was